Hello my viewers and welcome back to my channel. Now I welcome you to another interesting video. Today we're taking a look into a fascinating theory that intertwines history, mythology, and secret societies. Now in this video we'll explore a provocative idea that Pamukala men in their quest for power emerged from beyond a metaphorical world and intersected with Asian narratives. But before we get into the video, I just want to say a very big shout out to this brother for this video. Now he says, according to Rasha Jamal, they might have entered our world through a portal, and their impact has been intricately woven into our history, often hidden from plain view. We also examine how J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings might be more than just fantasy. Some believe that J.R.R.'s epic tale conceals deeper truths about divine origins and human potential, reflecting themes found in Masonic traditions. Could his fictional world be a cryptic revelation about our own reality? Join me as we uncover these layers of meaning and explore how these stories might be hiding real historical secrets. Take a look at a brother's video. I will be right back.
You guys, I figured it out again. And this is about to blow your mind. Now, before I go into this rabbit hole, I have to give credit when credit is due. Rashad Jamal said that visions came from a portal into our world, right? Now, we have to understand that he might have been correct and that they were really hiding history because history is his story. Now, the guy behind me, John Ronald Reuel Tolkien, or you know him as J.R.R. Tolkien, was a master scholar who wrote The Lord of the Rings. Now, we all know that they hide truth in fiction. I believe that J.R.R. was trying to tell us the truth, but he did it in an imagery that in some circles was disliked, even though his books and his writings were wildly popular. And so The Lord of the Rings is basically like a secret fire where it talks about God originating the spirit, right, that stirs in the children of his children, right, to be able to build and create and be able to become closer to the Most High. And so his books put these obstacles in place so that the protagonist can grow and etc. But what makes this important is the fact that students of Freemasonry would not be unjustified in recalling at the same threads of imagery with Masonic traditions. This would mean that J.R.R. Tolkien's his book of The Lord of the Rings is parallel with Masonic traditions. And they say that Freemasons hold the real truth. And for you to get that truth, you have to be a part of their group. And it would make sense if they have the hidden true history and hiding it from the rest of the world. This would make sense. And so J.R.R. Tolkien is kind of exposing the realities of our real reality through imagery. In the beginning of Lord of the Rings, if you ever seen the movie, I highly go recommend it. It talks about how the age of exploration around a certain time happened where white men traveled exploring the world in the quest for power. And so we would have to know that these stories are about Middle Earth and about creatures and about beings that come from inner Earth that are interacting with humans. So now, if this is the human realm, inside of this ice wall, you have our continents, which is all one, by the way, and not separated by water. Middle Earth would be anything outside of this ring. Hence the realm of the Titans, right? Where J.R. Tolkien is telling us that these behemoth creatures swim in these waters. Now, History is starting to prove Asians started their existence after the 1500s, right? But before then, everything in this continent was considered black. And up until that point, between the late 1400s, early 1500s, no one in this landmass has ever seen or a white person. And I'm not talking albino, because that is still a black person. Now, if God saved his lineage with the flood, right? Because they were making hybrid animals and damning the world, right? If he saved his lineage by flooding it and disposing of the hybrid land animals and all of the animal hybrids that were of the water, that water that dumped here pushed those animals out past this ring. And hence why the realm of the Titans is out in these deep waters, is because the flood pushed those animals, and now we are around the barrier of the circumcision of the ice, which controls the currents in our world. And so Lord of the Rings talks about the age of exploration, where these men on the Middle Earth outside are invading God's people. I believe these people that's organic to this realm are the Atlanteans, because after the flood, God saved his people. And all of these people are organic and they thrive off the sun, right? Are the only race that the sun impacts them negatively, making it be known that they aren't natural to this ring inside of our world. Because everything that came organic here is shown that they have capabilities to coexist with the sun. So the fact that they don't, and the fact that J.R.R. Tolkien is talking about them exploring the new world from Middle Earth, if Middle Earth is outside and they talk about the portals, I'll give you an example. They talk about the dwarves, the elves. These people hold ancient knowledge where they can augment weapons, right? And turn them stronger. And they just know magic and they know sorcery and stuff. So they can augment and use their former technology to create things that people have never seen on this side. Case in point, cloning. Case in point, the Lord of the Rings had what? Their enemies were cloning their people to go against the protagonists. That's where these armies were coming from. These armies were coming from Middle Earth. And so they gathered up to fight all of these people, all of these, evil people that come from Middle Earth. And so when you think about it, this age of exploration, when Caucasians started popping up in our world, they came through ships through here. They had this higher level technology because they're on the outer realms. And the Lord of the Rings explains this. And so now you're looking at these outsiders that came into the realm of God's people. This is why God said to separate from them. This is why God said to not procreate with them. It's because they were created and cloned outside of God's commandment, outside of God's covenant. Because when he brought up his lineage with the flood, right, those who were destroyed or pushed outward, right, found a way to get back in. And when they found a way to get back in, right, it was black people, right? And I'm pretty sure when they came through, on this side, when they came through on this side, right, Europe is here, would be here, just right above Africa. So This is probably why the Europeans still have a hold on the world today through the Vatican, is because those on the outer walls probably stopped there first and probably tricked those black Europeans in that area to go against their own people for their technology and power. And Satan found a way to get in because the genetics of Caucasians is not of God. And the Lord of the Rings shines a light on this because these stories are from Freemasonry origins.
Now, if you've read the book or have seen the movies, you might be thinking, what? Lord of the Rings hardly seems anything like the Bible. But the whole point of Tolkien's genius was to showcase the biblical story in a hidden and subtle way in which the reader has to hunt for it. I want us to take the journey into the heart of Lord of the Rings to unlock the Catholic imagery on full display. In the story, forces are gathering momentum for a battle that has cosmic significance. Here there exists a clash of civilizations in which mysterious powers behind human control are operating behind the scenes to govern the human will. Now, much like the spiritual nexus situated in biblical terms, there are two cultures pitted against one another. One is a culture of life and the other is a culture of unaliving. Now, Lord of the Rings focuses on Middle-earth. Middle-earth acts as our world placed throughout the centuries as the central stage for a spiritual saga. At the beginning of the Lord of the Rings is the creation story as it mirrors the Genesis account. Now, in the book, the elves articulate the creation story in which the one who represents God designs a great music of creation. Once God's design comes with a powerful and alluring gift. Now, this gift is free will. In the beginning of the story, the free will one creates is embodied by rings he gives to his creation. Like God bestowing mankind the gift of free will, one provides his creation with great rings. Once creation is asked to do something with this gift of free choice, one asks the elves to participate and play in his great symphony of music with him. Now, the mightiest of one's elves, Melkor, possessed the most powerful ring, choice, as one created him as the strongest being. Now, as the elves were playing this grand music to the glory of its composer, Melkor refused to play. Melkor decided he wanted to perform his own tune. In this, Melkor succumbed to pride. When Melkor played his own music, disharmony and discourse entered the music and ruined everything. Now, Melkor the Great then lost the right to his name, and after his fall, he was forever known as Morgoth. Now, this opening corresponds to the account of Lucifer. Lucifer, being at the height of the angelic choir, experienced a dramatic and unaliving fall. After this episode, he was henceforth forever to be known as Satan. Now, in Lord of the Rings, Morgoth used his immense power to influence other elves and recruited these mighty beings underneath him. The greatest of Morgoth's demons is Sauron, the Dark Lord. Now, Sauron, like Morgoth, is a fallen angel. Further down the dark hierarchy are these deformed creatures called orcs. Now, orcs are warped and fallen elves with the imagery of Sauron and his evil empire. Tolkien is illuminating what evil is. Evil is not a created thing. Evil is when a created being decays and withers away by its own choosing. Of course, in the biblical story, evil is brought about by the repeated choice to sin. In these vile creatures, Tolkien shows us what sin does. Sin takes the real you away and makes you a wretched version of the person you were meant to be. Now, the more you sin, the less you is there. In this state, you become a false version of yourself. You become like the rust on a car. The rust is an eating away of the good natural version of that created being. Therefore, evil is like a parasite, an emptying out of what was once good. Now, the image of evil is exemplified throughout the story. Sauron is depicted as this vapid floating eye. There is no substance to him. He has been eaten away by his addiction to sin. In the ring race, there are these wicked figures that aggressively ride around looking for the ring, but they're just empty clocks. There is nothing in them. They have no face and no inner being in them. Now, the point is that the lust for power eats away at you and turns you into an ugly, empty creature. Look at the countryside of Mordor, the land of evil. It is an arid, lifeless, emptied out wasteland. In Mordor and the Orcs, Tolkien illuminates that this land is a place of cloned and artificially created beings removed from the natural pattern of life created by God. Now, in these images, Tolkien shows us a picture of what evil is and what sin does. What decays all these creatures and causes this rage of evil? The ring does. The ring has destructive power. The ring is craved by all and becomes highly addictive to anyone who lays eyes on it. Sauron wants this ring of power back, and with it, he will be able to dominate Middle-earth. Tolkien's crucial allegory is that the ring represents sin. The power and destructive nature of the ring is a personification of human sin. From the biblical perspective, sin is the unaliving of God's soul within a person. Now, when you put the ring on, what happens? You disappear. While you physically disappear from this pure world that God created, you become more visible than ever to Sauron. Now, here you enter the warped dimension of Sauron. As you become visible to Sauron, he draws you into him so he can take you over and destroy you. Just like Sauron wants the ring to control Middle-earth, the demonic wants you to sin so as to invade and manipulate your soul. As the ring signifies sin, the effects of both are the same. Now, the ring takes you away who you really are. Your authentic self disappears and you become a fake version of yourself. With the ring, we see what sin does to a person. Sin makes the real you fade away and slowly destroys your soul. While Lord of the Rings shows the physical destruction caused by the ring, the Christian story identifies the immaterial destruction of the soul by sin. Now, the longer you have the ring on, the harder it is to get it off. If you get in the habit of putting the ring on, you become hooked to its power. Being addicted to the ring is like being addicted to sin. Now, Tolkien showcases the damaging nature of the ring most clearly in the character of Gollum. When you look at Gollum, you look at the decaying power of sin. Since our soul is the totality of our thoughts, Gollum is what your soul would look like if people could know all your inner thoughts. Now, as we take a deeper look into this theory, it's fascinating to consider whether J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings might indeed be more than just a fantasy tale. The idea that Tolkien could have been using imagery to expose hidden realities of our own world is both intriguing. Tolkien's rich and intricate world building often invites speculation about underlying messages and secrets. Now, the theory suggests that the work might not merely be a reflection of his imagination, but a deliberate attempt to convey deeper truths about history and power dynamics. Now, this perspective posits that elements within his stories could be symbolic of real-world events and esoteric knowledge, possibly aligned with secretive traditions like Freemasonry. While this idea opens up a captivating discussion about the interplay between fiction and reality, I just have one question. What do you think about the brothers video? And could Tolkien's epic be a veiled commentary on our world's hidden realities? Or is it purely a work of imaginative fiction? Share your thoughts in the comment section and let's have a conversation there. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video as I bring you another interesting video.